All right, now let's move into special teams. One kicker, one punter, one kick returner, and one punt returner. Let's start with the kicker. This might be the most controversial one because, oh my gosh, I can't imagine why. The Vikings have gone through a whole bunch of kickers, Pete Bercich. I'm saying reluctantly. Blair Walsh, longevity, made some big kicks here. People remember him for the ones he missed, but
right.
What do you think of him?
And I think Blair Walsh should be considered of the decade, the kicker of the decade.
It's a 29-yard try, left hash, snap good, spot down, right-footed rookie kick is up, and it is good! Blair Walsh kicks the Minnesota Vikings to the playoffs.
His season in 2015, he was 34-39. 2012, he was 35-38, was an All-Pro. He had a couple of very, very good seasons. Strong leg. I mean, we remember him for the ones that he, obviously didn't make. But the other part too, you look at those long field goals, and every year he hit one or two from 55, 54. So he had that range that some accurate kickers just don't have. They might be able to 50 year on in, but Blair Walsh kind of had it all for those 2 or 3 seasons.
It was a good run, Kevin, but it's always been a problem because people, as Pete said, many times just remember the ones he missed.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of looked at Ryan Longwell for this.
Really?
He's earlier on, he wasn't here for a long time, but for me, if I'm a coach or if I'm an organization, what I want more than anything is like confidence and certainty that when I send this guy out there, I know he's that he's going to make it. And so he didn't necessarily have the 50-yarders and he wasn't there for as long, but there were enough times in Blair Walsh's career, we know there's individual misses where he just kind of went through times that you just really worried that whether it was mindset or just having a mechanical thing, there was something like it was potentially going to go wrong. And when every time they sent Ryan Longwell out, I thought there was a pretty good chance he was going to make that field goal. And to me, like that certainty is something to be valued at that position.
He wasn't here long, Paul, but does Kevin have a good point with Ryan?
Well, he's triggering so many memories.
Sorry.
I mean, good Lord. Kevin's like, every time they bring Ryan Longwell out in a big spot, he comes through. I think 09, why didn't they bring him out there and maybe we go to Miami? And then Blair Walsh at the College Stadium. Are you kidding me? I mean, let's exercise that demon now once again. Oh, my heavens. How do you miss that? Walsh, 4.5 years here, 10 of 10 from 50 and beyond in 2012, team record. And the only all-pro kicker the Vikings have had since Bercich was on the team in 98 with Gary Anderson. So I think it's Blair. Compelling points made for Ryan. I'm a longevity guy, and like him or not, Blair did it 4.5 seasons.
And maybe Dan Bailey will be now the stabilizing force behind the kicking.
Well, a year and a half, seriously. Had it been a little longer, he's in the conversation. He made 22 consecutive to finish this season.
Vikings have also gone through a few punters. Jeff Locke comes to mind, but I mean, I hope Colquitt ends up being the guy, but there's a few other names out there, Kevin, we can think about as well.
I looked at Chris Kluwe for this.
Yeah.
When Kluwe left, you could make an argument for who was the best punter in Vikings history. Greg Coleman, Chris Kluwe, in terms of stats, in terms of just consistency, in terms of longevity. I mean, he was around for a long time. He was, it was almost a decade, a full 10 years, where he was punting at a very high level, punted through an ACL tear, which kind of didn't get out until later, but he was punting with a torn ACL, and that can add that to his resume. But I thought that, like, just from a historical perspective, and I know it didn't end well, but in terms of terms of the way he produced on the field, I thought it was pretty high for a long time.
Big name, Pete. It is. Kluwe was here for.
I think Kluwe is the guy.
Yeah.
I mean, punters, they do. So they're often overlooked, but I think Kluwe had a leg on him. He was a very, very, very talented punter. I'm not sure what else I could say besides that. Pin him inside the 20 and get the ball off.
Yeah, that's about it.
I ain't got much to say today, man. Just tell them don't kick me the ball today, man. I need it. I'm feeling it today, baby. Don't kick me the ball today, baby.
You're the rules guy in the NFL, Kevin Seifert. Kick returner has become almost like, okay, I'm going to watch the ball sail over my head, and it almost becomes, doesn't matter anymore. But Cordero Patterson stands out. But, I mean, has the NFL been hurt by not having kick returns? Because I always look forward to it. I mean,
I think so. I don't know what the way out of it is. I know the XFL is coming, and they have some new ideas on how to guarantee a return without people getting concussions on every return, and that's sort of the problem right now. But Cordero Patterson, another player who probably in a different era would have been, because there's no doubt, like, he's a very unique
Physical tools
returner.
he has,
And just acceleration, full speed ahead right away, and ability to break tackles.
And boom! Cordero Patterson, 9 yards deep. Here he comes. He heads to the left, to the 5, to the 10, to the 15, to the 20. Leaps over a Packer. Cuts to the left. He has to out-sprint Mastay. He's to the 40. And he's loose! Cordero Patterson! Touchdown!
Had he played in another era, even another Vikings era, I think there would have been a much longer time that he'd have been involved. You don't keep kick returners on your roster anymore because there's just not enough of them.
You had a few memorable calls with Cordero, Paul.
Well, the Vikings' last kick return touchdown was Cordero Patterson in 2016 against Arizona. He's Hall of Fame kick returner guy. I mean, it's five, there were 5 with this team, and then he leaves and has them. He's unbelievably good returning kicks. It's a cinch. It's Cordero.
Yeah, 3-time All-Pro and 109 yards against Green Bay.
Crazy.
He'll be my favorite Viking of all time
Just for that reason.
for that one play.
And finally, punt return. Our guy has been coming back and forth. And Marcus Sherrills did a job. A few other names out there.
I went with Marcus Sherrills, and then you have your number 3 wide receiver, Percy Harvin, as your backup on the kick, on the punt return. But Marcus Sherrills, you don't realize how much you need a good returner until something goes wrong. And I think we even noticed that when Marcus this year against San Francisco had one hit him in the chest and he dropped it. Denny Green would always say, all that matters when that whistle blows is that it's our football. Right. And Marcus Sherrills was one of the most sure-handed punt returners I have seen. He got exactly what he needed. He never took chances that he didn't need to take. He never tried to make something out of nothing and turn the football over. So I think Marcus Sherrills is my favorite punt returner of the decade.
Yeah, pretty easy to say, Paul, right?
Yeah, he's the greatest punt returner in the history of Vikings football. Now, I mean, Pete played with David Palmer, and, David was fantastic too, but Marcus has 5 punt return touchdowns, all in this decade, most in the history of the team. And again, like Cordero, the last time the Vikings had a punt return touchdown, 2016 at home against Houston, and it was Marcus. So I think Marcus and Cordero, absolutely boom, boom.